Actually, we're past that point because he is joining us live. Let's go ahead
Yes,
and
sir.
introduce a good friend of the show, two-time All-Star. He loves to hear this part, Brett. 1989 NL MVP, 1986 World Series champ with the New York Mets, and in 1989, folks, he was the home run and RBI leader. Close to a triple crown, Brett. Let's welcome in my buddy Kevin Mitchell.
What's going
Kevin, how
on,
you
Larry?
doing,
How you
buddy?
been? I'm doing
I'm
good. How
doing
you
good,
doing?
man. Good, good. Kevin, first of
Hey,
all, thanks
Larry,
so
Larry, you forgot to mention the biggest part of that 89 season. And I have to bring it up as a Cardinals fan.
All right, you go.
How on God's green earth, Kevin, did you catch a ball with your bare hand on the run on AstroTurf?
That was a young Thundercat then, man. You know, I don't know how that happened. It's just having a good. I was having such a good year that year, and it just came naturally.
One of the
didn't
greatest
look at the
catches
ball,
I've ever
did you?
seen.
Right, Kev? You
What'd
didn't
you
look
say,
at the
Larry?
ball. You just put your hand up.
No, I mean, you know, as a young kid, I probably can do everything at that time. You know, uh, I could play basketball, I could play baseball, I could play football, I could swim, play water polo. I did it all, man. You know, by growing up in the you know, in the boys clubs, you did a lot of things without no glove.
Can I talk about this 1986 Series champion team, the Mets? I'm going to bring you back to Game 6 because, unbelievable. Everyone remembered. If you didn't know better, you would have thought that was Game 7 if you
Yes.
didn't actually. And I was a huge Met fan back then. Talk about that Game 6, that particular inning, and what you remember. Go through that inning from the time the inning started when you guys were down till the time, everybody remembers you guys winning the game.
Well, you got to realize, Larry, back in '86, we was always down a lot, but we never thought we was out of the game. We still didn't think we was out of that game, Game 6. And like you said, I really, in my mind, I really thought it was Game 7, the way everything went down. But it was just a situation where we was talking in the dugout where we never thought we was out of this game. You know, it's going to take the last out to prove that we was out of it. And it just took the key hits and that really done it. And the attitude that we had, that we knew what we can do when we go step to that plate.
Talk about that team. I mean, Gary Carter, probably one of my favorite catches of all time. God rest his soul. I mean, he was taken too early from us. And the plays you had are besides yourself. I mean, you had an unbelievable team. I think Keith Hernandez was there. That team was
Mookie Wilson.
incredible.
Yes. G, I'm gonna tell you about Gary. Gary, I call him G. G was a very special person, man. He had a man. He never got pissed off about anything in life. He always showed a good attitude on the field. No matter if he struck out or went 0 for 4, you never knew that he had a bad game, or a good game, because G was always the same person. He kept one level at all time. And we had such a good team that year, man. We had another team that was sitting on that bench that can replace guys that went out, that needed a break, that went out and still did the job as the second team on that bench.
Yeah, Kevin, the one big thing I wanted to ask you about was the '89 World Series. And, of course, I'm on the younger end, but that's one of those baseball moments. And as a broadcaster that I've turned to and I've tried to get as much information on as I can, what happened with the earthquake being there live on the air. So tell us about the course of events prior to, leading up to it, what it felt like and what the aftermath was, and what the mindset of both you guys and Oakland was as far as how do we move on with this series after what just happened?
Oh, it was hard, man. I tell you that. It was very hard, especially as a person coming from California that never been in an earthquake like that. And it was a very emotional moment when that hit. I was sitting there talking to Willie Mays at the time that it happened, but it was just thankful that the city was able to recover from that accident. I mean, it was a heartbreak, and I think a lot of the players after that wasn't really into the game when we first started back against Oakland, and that gave the Oakland players a better chance to go out there and put that whooping on us like they did.
Yeah, and for you guys, it kind of became, I guess you'd say, a galvanizing moment to compete the rest of that series because you guys felt like, I think, a lot like you would see the Mets and the Yankees felt like they had an obligation after 9/11. Teams that are so connected to cities in tragedy feel like they kind of have an obligation to go out there and perform and put the city on their back.
Oh, and that's what I think would happen. I think a lot of the guys wanted to go out there for the city, to get the city something to look back on besides the tragedy that would happen in San Francisco. So we had a lot of guys that really went out there and played for the city, you know, just to try to get the life back into the people of San Francisco.
Yeah, and I remember that. I remember it. I mean, as a fan, Al Michaels switching into a newscaster from a sportscaster. I mean, it was a terrible, terrible. I mean, one of the most terrible moments, besides maybe 9/11, that happened in baseball. But let's talk about that year, even before that. You had an unbelievable year. You won the MVP. You batted 291, 125 RBIs, 47 home runs. Your team makes it to the World Series. Talk about how special that year was to you on the field and how it just was terrific. And the moment you won the MVP award.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, it was just an honor for me to even play over in San Francisco. San Francisco has been the most icon for me. Even now, I still do a lot of stuff with San Francisco. My blood pumps orange and black right now, and I enjoy going back seeing the fellas when I get a chance. But like I said, it was just playing with the type of guys that I played with. It was just, you know, you had to go out there and do well. You couldn't be the oddball of the team because everybody was doing well. It took a whole team to win like we did, to come in and play to get to where we got that year. And
you got to be happy to see how they're playing. I mean, look at them this year. Look, they're right there in the thick of things. It's got to make you happy.
Oh, it does. It does. It makes me. I watch them every day when I get a chance to watch them on TV. Like I said, I probably go to the game in Anaheim when they play the Angels. So, like I said, I'm a big Giants fan and gonna always be a Giants fan. But I tell you what, just playing with Will Clark, Matt Williams, and the guys that I had on that team, it motivated me to go out there and want to play for these guys and want to go out there and do what I can do for this team to help them win.
Kevin, one thing I think that's lost on a lot of people, especially, you know, maybe casual fans like me that aren't huge nerds that go back and just watch old games for fun. What was it like to play at a place like Candlestick Park with the atmosphere, with it being right on the bay, and what made that so unique and so interesting?
I'll tell you what, man. I my first year going into San Francisco, I think I was with the Mets, and I said, I hope I could never play here. That's the first thing I said when I went in as a rookie. I could never play here because the wind was always swirling, and then you had trash flying everywhere, dirt flying in your eyes, and I ended up getting traded there. But I tell you what gave me the obligation to want to play there was being able to sit there and talk to Willie Mays to tell me how to hit the ball in this ballpark.
It had to be amazing for you to be able to pick his brain, and Willie McCovey, I'm sure, was around at that time as well.
Yes.
And that's the thing that's such kind of a contrast is the amount of success that guys were able to have, in your case as well, offensively, in a ballpark that is historically thought of as being just pitcher friendly because of the atmosphere.
Oh yeah, but Willie always told me there was a wind tunnel in right center. I always used to try to hit the ball in right center.
But, you know, that's the right approach for a hitter, is to try and go right back through the box like that. And you know, if there's a out there, you might as well take advantage of it.
But the main man that kept me going there, because Willie wasn't always around, was Dusty Baker. Dusty Baker kept me going the whole year. I mean, I can hit 2 home runs, man. And he would, after the game, he would take me into the cages late at night. I see something in your swing. Everybody's leaving. And I'm taking batting practice right outside as everybody's leaving. That's how.
What do you think about seeing Dusty still out there, still managing and still doing it successfully?
Oh man, I love every bit of it, man. And, you know, and I can see it makes him. It feels good. Like he accomplishes what he wanted to do. He won a World Series. He's doing what he loved to do, and I'm gonna tell you what. He's a great players coach. He could take the worst player on that team and make him into a superstar. It's all here. It's all in your mind.
And what you said about him even before that speaks to the kind of guy that he is. He wins that World Series with San Francisco in 2002, or gets to the World Series with San Francisco, I should say, in 2002. Spent the better part of the mid-2000s barking across the dugout at my Cardinals and Tony La Russa. And really, his intensity and will to win kind of revamped that rivalry in my mind. And you look at the reason that the Astros brought him in was kind of to instill confidence in some of the players that had come in after the entire sign stealing scandal had gone down, that were kind of feeling like, we walked into something here. And Dusty Baker then walks in that room and he's like, look, you're not them. I'm here for you. We're all here to win. That's what we're going to go do. And that's what he's gone out and done.
You got to realize, though, that. I mean, Dusty feel like he's still in the game.
Yep.
You got to realize he's still wearing his wristbands, everything. If he can hit for you, he would hit for you. If he could throw for you, he would throw for you. If he could catch a fly ball, he would catch a fly ball for you. He feels like he's part of that game. And you could see sometimes it kind of tears him down. And when they do well, he brings him back up. It's just like a regular player.
Yeah. Kevin, let me ask you this, and it may take a second, or you may have an exact answer for it, but I'm very amazed. Actually, I don't like it, but when you played baseball, or even before you played, to have as a player 100 strikeouts during a season, it wasn't really heard of. I mean, I think it was Darrell Evans who played. I was talking to earlier. He played 21 years in baseball. Only struck out 100 times, 3 times in one season. Willie Mays, who you mentioned, Hank Aaron, never struck out 100 times in their entire career. Yourself, who was a power hitter, I think struck out once 100 times in your entire career. I think it was 14 or 15-year career. But now you see Aaron Judge, last 5 years that he's played and been healthy, over 100 games. He's struck out every year over 100 times, one time, 200 times. Ohtani, probably the greatest human specimen, baseball specimen on the earth right now. 5 times he has struck out over 100 times a season. Alonso, 3 times. And why is that? I mean, I know it's changed a little bit, but you were a hitter, okay? So you knew how to hit. Why are so many people striking out more today? Even power hitters. You guys were power hitters. I would say Hank Aaron was a power hitter and Willie Mays. I mean, what is the difference nowadays to back then? And do you like it or dislike it?
You know what, Larry? The game is different now. The game is different from when we played. A lot of guys now are trying to hit home runs. I was the type of hitter, I didn't try. You know, I played gap to gap. You know, I tried to go shopping at the gap, you know, all the time. But a lot of guys now with this launch angle stuff and that I never believed in. I still think you should hit down on the ball where you get that that backspin on the ball where to carry. I still teach my kids the same way. But you with the swings now and the averages now, it's just you're going to see it in baseball for a long time because everybody is trying to, the fans want to see that home run. They don't want to see, bunting runners over no more. I miss that part of the game, getting the runner over, get him in, sacrifice fly. You know what? I had a lot of respect for Gary Sheffield because if it's a man on third base, he going to get him in. He going to get him in some type of way. He going to hit the ball to the right side or whatever he got to do to get that run in.
Yeah, and if they taken the productive out, and I did a whole show on this, where I used to watch baseball, you hit and run. You'd go to the opposite field to take the runner from first to second. You bunt them over to third, a sacrifice fly. There was something we called productive outs. We're lacking that in baseball today.
Yeah, sometimes the game get boring when you watch it on TV too a lot because it's like nothing never happens. It's just like I can't watch soccer. I have nothing against soccer, but I can't watch soccer. Running up and down, you never score. You work on trying to get runs in to beat the other team, but it don't never happen.
Especially a couple of developments, Larry. Couple of developments, fellas, that I want to work in here. Trey Mancini's been DFA'd, designated for assignment by the Chicago Cubs to open the roster spot for the recently acquired Yeimer Candelario. The Marlins went out and got another bat. Jake Berger is heading to the Chicago White Sox, or from the White Sox to the Miami Marlins.
And I got breaking news right now. The Los Angeles Dodgers and Detroit Tigers have worked out a trade for left-handed starter Eduardo Rodriguez.
There you go.
But he has to do the no-trade clause he has, so it's pending that he accepts it or not. So a lot's going to go on this last hour. What do you remember about the trade deadline when you were playing, Kev? I mean, there had to be some huge trades and trends that you had to say goodbye to, at least temporarily, when you played. Anything sticks out in all those years? I was telling people before your time, or a little before your time, I remember 77 when Seaver was traded to the Reds at the trade deadline. What are some of the ones as a player you remembered and you were kind of shaking your head like, oh, why?
Yeah, well, I never, as I was playing, Larry, I never understood the trade, but I still don't understand it. I feel that if a player does well, he's gone. He can't stick. You're better off doing bad. You're going to end up hanging around longer with that team. But I don't know, man. I tell you, I learned that it's part of the game now. You have to deal with it. It was when I got traded. It was better for me, and I didn't think so at the right time. But it helped me out so much by getting traded. When I left New York, I didn't want to leave New York. I love New York, but I went off and did bigger and better things. I would love to stay in New York when I was there, but it didn't happen. And then I constantly getting traded. I don't know. I really couldn't put something on that. So, which I don't know nothing about. So.
Yeah, Kevin.
All right, Larry, I want to butt in here if I can. We got an update on the Eduardo Rodriguez situation. The Dodgers are on his 10-team no-trade list. So he has invoked the no-trade clause. The deal is dead.
Okay, there you go. Kevsey, I heard you left New York so you could live in California and play golf for a year.
No, I wasn't even playing golf back then. See, that's just how you're hearing all these bad rumors, Larry.
I'm teasing you, man. I'm teasing you. Kevin's a big golfer, Brett. Right?
Hey, I was a young Thundercat then, boy. I didn't know nothing about golf then. Which I wish I would have. I would have knew about golf then.
You didn't golf when you played baseball?
No, I didn't golf when I played baseball.
I didn't know that because you love the game of golf so much now that.
I love it. I love it. If I feel, what I tell myself, Larry, if I can't hit that baseball no more, I got to hit that little white ball, that little one that's sitting there. And it's the hardest thing to do in life.
I tell you, I'm not a golfer, so I couldn't even. The club goes further than the ball with me. But I'll tell you. All right, so a lot going on right here. Hey, I got a question for you. You played with Will Clark. You played with Keith Hernandez, two terrific first basemen. I mean, talk about Keith. I mean, all I hear is, I mean, we know he was a great hitter. We know he was a great fielder. Talk about both of them and how great they were.
Well, you're right. I did play with two great first basemen. Two guys that I got a lot of respect for, man. And I couldn't put them in. I couldn't measure out both of them and say one of them is better than the other. I can't do that because they're such great friends of mine that they bring so much intensity to the game, and they played hard every day. Both of them. They're both competitors, you know, and I love them both. They just, you know, I was just honored to be even on the field with either one of them.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, my friend, we enjoyed having you on. We're going to get down to the last hour here, and we know a lot's going to happen. Want to thank you again, taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on the 2023 MLB Trade Deadline Show.
Anytime, Larry. You guys take care of yourself, man. Keep that head up, man. Straight.
All right, buddy. Stay safe, my friend.
All right.
Thank you, Kevin.
That was a great,
Enjoyed it.
All right.
Kevin Mitchell. Couldn't hear. Hey, we got to